Now, back in the day, what were you doing for the bass drum muffling? Did you have the front head on? Did you have pillows in there? What were you doing like in the 70s for that?
Well, you tuned your bass drum with the head on during the time that was happening. I guess the mic placement had a lot to do with it. And then if you notice, a lot of drum heads at that time, the front head had a hole in it
Right.
where they would put a microphone there. So there's so many different ways to tune. And engineers, a lot of them have different techniques, and then you have different microphones that have different frequencies. And they still, everybody's still trying, a lot of new things.
What was it like working with Smokey Robinson?
Smokey was very, because he's been doing it for a long time. I guess he's real cool, real laid back. He didn't push nothing. It was there. Whatever you were supposed to play was there. And if if he didn't like something, he might change it right quick or whatever it was. But when I did Cruising, man, I played on a lot. I think that was a hit record that I played on. It might have been. I don't know if I played on any other hits with him, but Cruising was a big one. That was 2 takes, and wasn't a whole lot written. I just played what was written. Said, "Oh," and he said, "Thank you, gentlemen." I said, "Wow!" It was on a Saturday. I said, "Man, this was great, man. I'm in and out of here. This is easy money today." That it was beautiful. That's a beautiful record. That Cruising,
Right.
Beautiful.
That's one of my all-time favorite recordings. Who was the producer on that?
Smokey.
Smokey.
Yeah, Smokey produced that. But Smokey was there that day. He produced that.
Hey, you recorded with Paul McCartney, and everyone probably knows Paul McCartney plays drums, yet he asked you to play on some tracks.
So I don't know how that went. I can't say how that went. I know Paul was very nice to me, because Paul likes to play on his own stuff,
Right.
Who are some of your favorite drummers and influences?
Well, I liked Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich, Art Blakey, Max Roach, Elvin Jones. But I liked Grady Tate even. The Motown drummers. Benny Benjamin I think he played with Charlie Parker when he'd come to town. You could tell by the finesse. If you listen to the earlier records, now his drums were tuned like a jazz drum. You could hear his palms ring. The finesse he played with, though, he was played so beautiful. A lot of people don't know Smokey played on a lot of that Motown stuff for a minute. I don't think he stayed up there that long from New Orleans.
Yeah, I think Marvin Gaye played on some of that stuff
Yeah,
too.
and Marvin, yeah. They say he was a great drummer. I was in the jazz idea. That's where I came from. So that was my thing.
Did you ever get to go back since you started off as a jazz drummer? Did you ever get to record and play jazz later in your life?
I went on the road with Eddie Harris.
Oh, okay. Listen here.
Yeah. And he was a jazz artist, and we played a lot of funk jazz thing on YouTube, which is very good. But we played some outside stuff, so I got to do a little of that.
What about this thing that I saw on YouTube? It's called No Roots, No Groove. It appears to be you and a bunch of Japanese guys. What was that? How did that come about?
I was with a David T. Walker, guitarist, and me, and then 3 Japanese gentlemen. We were in a group called the Band of Pleasure. I remember that, and we played, and it was some good music. It was a great Japanese musicians. They were, fantastic. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, Taka Numazawa and I would play. He was a double drummer because they invited me to be with them on a guest tour.
You've done some recordings with Donald Fagen, and he was well known for like doing 100 takes and 20 different drummers and rhythm sections. Did you ever have a producer or an artist run you through the mill and do like 70 takes on one song?
Yeah, I've had that. I can't remember who it was, but I've I've had that do that, put people through that until I found out it. In my case, you searching. Either you got it together or you don't. 3 or 4 different takes. A lot of times you're looking for something and it might not occur. You might be hearing something different that ain't what it's about. You might have to come back to the drawing board again. No, I mean, a long time ago, when I was practicing with my brother's band, we do 7 and 8 and 100 takes when we were practicing to learn this stuff. But if you're recording, either you got it or either you don't. You got to go back to the drawing board, because if you playing a certain piece of music a certain way and it ain't happening, it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
That's just that's the way it goes. You might have to come back the next day.
Would you normally run down a tune like 2 or 3 times before they start recording?
Every now and then they might run down a tune. Motown, you had 3 hours to do 3 songs.
Wow.
And you might run down letter B, and if they added a half hour, it might have been another song. But you wasn't no running down. You was coming in, you would hit.
Wow.
Now, when I worked with Donald Fagen, I think what happened was they had called me to do the record, and they changed their mind. And I think so they were going to use Jeff Porcaro. Things happen. That's the way, that's the business. A lot of times that just happens. So, but I figured, at the time the union was strong enough to where they had to pay me for a session. So I figured they would just pay me. I didn't figure, because they canceled me out. I figured, hey, I ain't got to go in. So they called me. Come in at 5 o'clock. So I went in, and we were at the Village, and they had this drum booth. It was inside of the studio, and they had the music, and they had the click track. And I think I was in there about maybe an hour and a half at the most. And I just played, I think it was that, what a beautiful world would be. I can't think of it. Anyway, I played that down one time. He told me, he said, hey, I might have played it down more than once. I don't know. I don't know who was talking, but they said, hey, don't hit the cymbals hard and don't play no drum fills because it's not that type of tune. I said, okay. So I played it, and that was it. Wasn't nobody there but me.
Wow.
I didn't even get to see nobody. I was scared to go in to say hello to anybody in the control booth, because I figured they probably just had to. They probably gave me that. They gave me this session because they had to give it as far as the union rules was concerned. So I said, I'm not going to go in there and say hello or even listen back. It turned out to be a #1 tune.
Cool. Hey, speaking of control rooms, I have a friend named Jack Rubin who was a recording engineer at Sunset Sound. He worked on I Will Survive, Reunited.
Yeah, he worked with Freddie Perrin. I remember Jack.
You remember Jack? Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. I'll tell him you said hi.
Yeah, give him money. Is he still engineering?
Yes, sir, he is.
Wow, yeah, fantastic.
So Reunited, apparently that was one take.
One take, yeah.
How great. And then Got to Be Real, also 1 or 2 takes, I think.
Right.
From what I heard, yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, Reunited, we played it down. And I said, hey, man, that sounds like a hit record to me. I said, I don't think we need to do that anymore. Now, I'm out of place because I'm not supposed to say that. That's the producer's job. So I got to think, I said, man, I shouldn't have said nothing. And and the contractor heard me, and he said, wait a minute, let me go in here. I said, oh, my goodness, I might be in trouble. He said, wait a minute, because the contractor heard me say that. So he went in and he talked to Fred. Fred come out, he said, what are you? I said, well, man, I tell you, I said, that was a great take. I said, I don't think that needs. He said, you know what? I'm going to take your word for it. And hey, I think it was #1. Yeah. Things happen like that sometimes.
Yeah. So, well, Jeff Porcaro, sometimes he would be called for a session, and after 2 takes, because he knew it was good, he would just take his sticks and walk out because he knew that was as good as it was going to get.
Everybody to their own. Jeff was a good friend of mine, and I loved him.
I think he was influenced by your 16th note.
He said that.
Okay.
Jeff said he mentioned that in a lot of the drum magazines and stuff. He mentioned that I couldn't even get in the drum magazine, and he would mention me. God rest his soul. Jeff was cool. Everybody gets something from everybody. They might not say it, But they get something from me. A gentleman called me about 2 weeks ago. Said, man, famous drummer. I ain't gonna mention his name because he probably don't want me to say that. He said, man, I was checking. I've been stealing your stuff for a long time. So, well, hey, okay. Well, hey, you have to take it as a compliment. It don't make sense to feel, negative about that. You gotta take it as a compliment.
Hey, you've been recording for over 50 years and you managed to stay super relevant with artists like Beck, Justin Timberlake, Harry Styles.
I was supposed to do a session last week with Jonathan Baptiste.
Oh, wow.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
So, James, who do you listen to that would surprise people?
I listen to everybody. I like all of it. I mean, I might not like all of the songs, but I listen to the youngsters, and I listen to everybody.
Would you put on a Black Sabbath record and get into it?
Yeah, I sure would. Yeah,
Very good.
That's awesome.
Because hey, that ain't my thing, but I enjoy it. I listen to it. That ain't the way I play.
Mm-hmm.
But I might be able to pick up something from that. Sure.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, speaking of Black Sabbath, a friend of ours named Ronnie Siago.
Yeah.
He's been the drummer for Bill Ward for quite a while.
Ronnie, fantastic. His wife laid hands on me. I came to church. Yeah, I mean, I had never had a feeling like that God, that God was real. That was a blessing. I never felt like that, and I had cancer.
Wow.
I mean, I still have it. I'm 25 years in remission.
Do you still practice daily?
I don't practice daily lately, but yeah, I like to practice daily. I should, because I'm an older man now, and so I have to practice daily in order to try to stay, current to playing if I'm going to be in this.
You got some recordings coming up soon?
I hope they call me again. I don't know if everything that I had I turned down, because I don't want to go. I would never want to go and misrepresent myself. See, every time I go and play the session, I go in there like the heavyweight champion. I go in there to do my best. Whose drums are those back there?
Those are mine.
Yeah. We've got a Gretsch kit and a Ludwig kit.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at them, man. That's all right. Wow.
This is my recording studio. I'll move this camera around a little bit to see what.
Oh yeah, I see those. Wow, that's really nice. Yeah. What kind of kit is that?
Those are Gretsch.
Oh, wonderful. Wow.
Did you have a certain type drums you like playing through the years?
When they used to make the drums handmade, they made them. When they went out, it was a set of drums. They making them different now. So you might not get a good set of drums. You might have to get a tom from somewhere else or such and such a thing if you're shopping for drums, if you know what I'm saying. The drums don't sound like they used to, if you know what I mean. You're a drummer, so you know what I'm talking about. I have, different sets of drums. I have a Pearl, I got DW, and I got CMC, which is a new company out from my hometown. They out of Parkville, Missouri, right outside of Kansas City. They make some fantastic drums. This guy, he makes them by hand. He's good, But the sets I got now, they're all pretty cool. I'm happy. I'm pretty happy with them. I don't want to trade them. Man. A lot of people like to trade and get a new set of drums.
Hey, if you could only use one snare drum throughout your entire recording career, what snare drum would you use?
It was the Ludwig. I could tune it, in the studio. I could tune it a little up and down a little bit different. So I like that one.
Well, I mean, I've seen you play an acrolite. Is that the one you're talking about?
I got 4 or 5 different sets of snares, So yeah, it might have been.
Were you a fan of the Black Beauty?
Yeah, I was until I got mad. One got stolen from me, so I'm laughing about it, but I wasn't happy about it. Yeah, I had one, but I had a set of before Pearl became Pearl. I had a set of drums. I think they cost $100. They were Japanese drums, And with Pearl drums, they wasn't even, the company wasn't even Pearl Company at that time. This was out when I was in Kansas City, when I was, and man, those were that was some of the best drums I had ever had. And DW, I mean, they're always searching and doing different things now. I think I'm eager to really try because I'm endorsed with DW. They got some new drums out now that they have the sounds in them, the different sounds. I'm eager to try those, see what they got going. They all DW is always searching, doing different things. So I'm eager, just like because we did, a lot of times drums were just drums. I mean, people wasn't doing what they're doing today.
Right.
So it's I just like to stay up and check out, a lot of different things that they got. Sometimes it ain't cool, sometimes it is.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, hey, thank you again for doing such a great interview. We are honored to have you on the show.
well, thank you so much for having me.
All right, James, you take care. Yeah, thank you, James.
Thanks a lot.
All right, have a good one. We'll see you later.
All right, you too. God bless you.